All right, good morning. Welcome to another live session. My name is Vahid, Chitsaz, part of the Elite Mastermind group. This is where we talk about success principles. We have had a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of individuals that have shared with us so far on our channel. If you've missed any of our live sessions, you definitely want to go ahead and check out our IGTV. They should all be. We do this. If you guys got any questions, please go ahead and put it in the comment section. We will do our best to respond to everybody. Let's see if we can get our next guest speaker. There we go. All right, good morning.
Good morning. Great to get to connect with you today.
Same here. My name is Vahid Chitsaz, part of the Elite Mastermind group. I know we had a little conflict of scheduling because of time zone, but we got it. We're cool. So let's dive into it. Introduce yourself to everybody. Let us know where you're tuning in from.
Awesome. I'm coming to you guys all the way from Australia this morning. So I don't know where everybody's listening from, but the sun isn't even up outside right now. I've got some lights going on. But super pumped to be connecting with you guys. So my name's Vanessa Jane Patrick. I'm a personality profiler, which is my specialty. I'm a speaker, a trainer, a coach. I run online programs and I run the Limitless Potential Academy, along with the Limitless Potential podcast, where I get to interview incredible human beings in the realms of human behavior, human potential, human development. And pretty much I like to call myself a bit of the human guinea pig of all things personal development. Kind of just go out there, study and simplify, systemize and help people get access to what actually works. So
Vanessa, yeah. I do not want you to laugh at this question. This is a very, very serious question. Shouldn't people just listen to their wives and everything will be fixed? They don't need to go through all this stuff. Shouldn't that be the case?
I can't help but laugh at that. But, I think, we all know the scheme, happy life, happy wife, happy life. So, yeah, I think there's some truth to that. I'm sure there is. I'm sure you'd be able to. I don't have a wife of my own, but I'm sure you can probably attest to the truth in that.
I just figure, listen, why go through all these personality tests, all these entrepreneurship, mentorship? Just zip it. Just listen to your wife. Everything will be perfect. You don't have to worry about it. No, let's get on a serious note. Thank God my wife is not watching this.
Yeah. I'll send her the recording. She'll love it.
So here's my question. If an individual entrepreneurs, I hear this a lot, that a lot of coaches help people with their strengths and weaknesses. I have heard both sides where a lot of people say, focus on your strength and then recruit or get help on your weakness side. What is your opinion on that? Because I think that's a big deal for individuals that are in business, because there's no way we're going to be good at everything. So what's your take on that?
Well, totally, because this is really what my work is all focused upon, because basically, we can listen to somebody like Gary Vee will tell you to double down on your strengths, right? Like, we've got amazing people telling us all of this sort of stuff. And I look at the realm of personal development as this kind of one size fits all, right? Like, it's kind of just, there's all these amazing people talking about great concepts, but why is it that, we run into people who are dedicated to their growth and they're trying what this person says and they're trying what this person says and this person, and they just feel like they're never getting anywhere. They're just these constant learners, constantly doing this stuff, but it's never really sticking for them. And basically, this is where the work that I do with personality psychology, it actually goes into the neuroscience of you. So, Vahid, you're different to me. You're wired differently to me. So, you might follow somebody who's gotten great success out there. You might do that work and you might get the results. I might do the same work and it takes me off track. And basically how it works is there's a brilliant neuroscientist by the name of Dario Nardi over in Los Angeles, closer to you than me. And basically he's brought the science that backs how we've got these 8 different cognitive functions or mental processes that every human being uses. But what makes the difference between you or I or the next person is which of these cognitive processes we use as our greatest strengths. And when we can look at that, basically how the brain works is each of those mental processes are in a polarity. So when we're operating in what we might think about is as our greatest strength, automatically what the brain does is it automatically shuts off our access to its mirror opposite cognitive function or mental process. And when it does that, you know, we love our strength, right? But if we're in our strength, it's shutting off its mirror opposite. So cost of specialization means that we've got strengths and we've got weaknesses cognitively, right? And, you know, it's all starts in here, everything that we're doing. So I like to think that, yes, we need to be consciously aware of what our weaknesses are. But if you focus on your weakness and if you look at how the brain works, it automatically means you're going to shut off from your greatest strength to be able to build that. And how we've operated throughout our lives is that greatest weakness, it usually ends up the place that we go to when we're in total stress, total overwhelm, total states of depression, when we lose ourselves. So it actually can put us into a state of depression when we're taking away from our greatest strengths. And there's a lot of research out there. There's a lot of amazing books. There's one called Authentic Happiness by Martin Seligman. And he actually talks about this concept of authentic happiness. And he had this kind of theory in mind, and then he went out into the world and he actually tested it out. And basically what he was able to correlate the data on was that basically the happiest people in life are the ones who double down on their strengths, right? So good on you, Gary V, with that. You know, and so what I love to do...
I don't know if the Gary V knew that or not, or he just got lucky.
No. He just intuitively probably knew that through experience.
But
and,
here's,
you know?
here's the other part that I don't know. I haven't done a study on it to have a concrete answer for you. But if I had to compare between my mom and my dad, they're both entrepreneurs. They're all businessmen. But my mom does like 10 times more than my dad, right?
Yeah.
But that's because she doubles down on her strength. So I have experienced that, and she's not good at like filing taxes. She's not good at doing paperwork. She's not good at bookkeeping. That is not her forte. But I tell you what, if you piss her off and you say that somebody said you can't do this, she'll go and figure it out. But that is not something she's going to be just naturally attracted to. On the other side, my dad likes the analytical thing, paperwork, all of that stuff. But if you tell my dad to throw a party and invite 10 people, he might have a problem. He doesn't have 10 people around him to call and buddy, come. My mom, when she throws parties, we have like traffic problems because too many people show up. So you have those, you know, in the same family, you'll have that. But I understand that if you go double down on, but here's my question. Could we say because you do that thing that you do that's your strength, that good and that well, you get a lot more praise, so therefore psychologically you like to do more of it? That's just, to me, that's just like the normal tendency. If something I'm doing that's good and people praise me for it, I'm going to continue to do it, and I feel good doing it, versus doing stuff that I'm not good at and people are like, why are you doing this? You suck at this, this, and you should know that you shouldn't be doing that, right? So I feel like that is the norm.
Well, like you brought up so many good points then, and I know we've only got a short time, but like let me just focus on what you just said then. So there's a massive difference between intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. So I like to actually call it, are you inspired by what you do? Is it coming from the inside out? Or are you reliant upon external motivation to keep you going? Now, this is another aspect of what the framework I'm really doubling down on in my own life and how I work with my clients on is I give you, here's the framework for your greatest strengths that you're going to be inspired from within to do. Because most people in this life, what's the number one regret of the dying? It's that I wish I had have had the courage to live a life true to myself rather than one I felt was expected of me. If you get motivated by external sources, you're always reliant. You know, I spent the first 25 years of my life doing a business degree that my brother picked for me, going into law because I still didn't know what the hell I wanted to do with my life, and then only developing a mindset on personal development, asking myself, oh my gosh, like, what is it that I want to do, when I got to 25, and I had no idea. I just knew I was on the total wrong path. And I had to go on that journey to discover what inspires me from inside, not all this reliance. Like, you know, my parents were paying me a full-time wage to go to uni. I had it made, you know, from the outside in. It looked like, whoa, Vanessa's so lucky. And look what she's doing and all this sort of stuff. But I was dying inside because I was living to those expectations from the external world. I was living a really fake, inauthentic life, and I had no idea how to even acknowledge that or move in a different direction, because my whole identity was connected to what other people were praising me for or motivating me toward, rather than who I am now and how I live my life. That's why I'm so passionate about helping people find their authentic inspiration, you know, and giving them the map that I never had. You know, they didn't teach at school the realm that I'm in right now, what you're doing right now. Like, you know, having two entrepreneurial parents, that's awesome. You know, my dad became an entrepreneur out of an engineering, you know, sort of way of life. And that, you know, we've got that connection, that understanding. I love that, you know, because we're all different. And even the story you mentioned about your mum and your dad, I'm already profiling them. I'm like,
Well,
yeah,
listen, I'm
you know,
about to change that story. I think
yeah.
you should tell your parents I'm up for adoption. They could pay for my uni. I come there, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to go to school, let them pay me. And I'm just, they don't even know I'm there. I'm not going to take that much space. So maybe you didn't want that. Listen, I sign up for
Let's
that.
swap. Let's swap. No, let's swap, because I like your mum and dad are entrepreneurs. Let's do it. We'll do an exchange. We'll do, like, it's not a wife swap, it's a kid swap. Let's do it.
That's it. That's how it is. So, okay. So here's my question. So if I'm doubling down on my strength, how do I remedy my weakness side? What do I do with that?
Awesome. Cool. So, so basically, if we had a bit longer, I'd map this out for you. But if you could picture a car, like picture like a car, picture there's a dad in the driver's seat, mum's in the co-pilot, she's in the passenger seat. And then behind them, so directly behind the mum, there's a 10-year-old kid. And directly behind the driver, the dad, there's a 3-year-old kid. This is your brain, all right? But let's look at it like a car. So that driver, that's like 80% of your time, like you're in the driver's seat. That's what puts you in flow. You just love operating in this way. You can just, you know, cruise control all the way, right? And then next to you in the passenger seat, that's kind of like that's your wife, right? And she makes you better. You better listen to her, right? Like you said at the beginning of this, you know, if you listen to her, life is going to be a hell of a lot better, right? But what tends to happen is mum and dad get into a bit of conflict, right? And they're, you know, like they're having a bit of an argument. It's black, it's white, you know, whatever. That's the conversation. And behind the co-pilot seat, the passenger seat, behind the mum, that 10-year-old's kind of like, you know what, Dad, you're right. You know, you're the one who's right here in this conversation. And they kind of get into a bit of cahoots with one another. This is how we all get trapped into a bit of a loop, right? That creates a lot of problems in our lives. Because now we've got a 10-year-old helping us make our decisions, not our partner or the best thing for us who would balance us out. And then behind, if the driver keeps going and he's not taking any breaks and he's just keep go, and it's just I'm right and whatever, the 3-year-old back behind him that, you know, is just kind of quietly doing its own thing, it will take the driver's seat if the dad, you know, it's like putting the 3-year-old in the driver's seat when the dad's just totally hasn't taken a rest and he really needed to take a break. So basically this is your brain, because you're always in the driver, you're always going. And the 3-year-old doesn't really need any much attention, just needs to make sure it's got its food, its water, it's safe, right? And basically, if we can know that in how the brain is wired, remember I mentioned it's a polarity. So when we're in the driver, we're automatically shut off from the 3-year-old. And so the brain is really smart. When you get into burnout and you haven't taken time to understand how you're wired and put strategies in place so that you can, you know, like not get into burnout, the 3-year-old jumps into the behind the steering wheel so that the driver gets a break, a forced break. And that's when you operate in these ways that you're less than proud of. You get off track, you know, you're working towards this great mission in your business, and then you just want to watch Netflix for a week, like, because you're so burnt out, all these different things. So what I help people do is identify who's in that driver, who's in that passenger seat. And that passenger seat is your growth, your unique growth journey, not this one size fits all in personal development, your unique growth journey that's going to help you round yourself out. Happy wife, happy life. That's kind of how it works. And then that 10-year-old, you know, that's where you go defensively and create conflict, in particularly in all of your relationships. But if we can understand who's sitting there, we can give you strategies to nurture that particular cognitive function technically, but ways of being, and also with the 3-year-old. So for instance, you know, a 3-year-old process for me, I drive with extroverted feeling, right? So technically, that sounds really technical. What it is, it's about harmony. It's about noticing what's the emotional environment like, what's going to get people's needs met. It's really good in groups, right? The opposite probably to your dad there. And then his strength is probably my greatest weakness, which is, you know, the logic, the you know, just really getting into that, but it's devoid of what's impacting people on an emotional level. So, you know, for me, I would need to engage my 3-year-old process about 3 times a week, say for 20 minutes. For me, that might be doing something like, you know, playing solitaire, or just something that's devoid of all emotion and anybody's needs, and actually just, you know, the numbers, right? Like Sudoku or whatever it is, you know, like playing that. That's perfect for me to engage in just a couple of times so that I can put my driver to rest. You know, those 20-minute naps on the side of the road. And for your dad, total opposite, right? We don't want him running the party, because if we have him running the party, no one comes.
Oh, there will be no party. The party will be finished at 8 p.m. Everybody will go home. the party won't even get started. That's just the way it is. That's it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
here's my question. Here's my question. As an entrepreneur, sometimes when you get into this logical side, emotional side, you want to really figure out your best. Sometimes we end up not doing much and doing action. So my question is this: is it okay, or is it better, or is it more advantageous for me to go do the activities, make mistakes and learn, or not to do it, plan it, get my self-development going, and then go and do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. And it would depend on how you're personally wired, because there are certain types who are more what we would call more judging. So they need to pre-plan things in order to be at their best. It's dependent on how they're wired. And then there's other people who are more perceiving in nature. So they need to just like get into the experience and figure it out on the fly. And part of this is what I love a question like that, because people are looking for, well, this is right and this is wrong. But no, it's not that at all. Like, what works for somebody is absolutely where they need to be. And it might be the opposite to this person. And basically, you know, so many people are trying to just find the right thing, say you're wrong, you need to do it this way. And we're discounting
but Vanessa, put a percentage
people
on it based on the people you've seen. Can you put a percentage on more? Okay, so have you seen more success among the people that you just dive in and let's go and learn it as we go? Or have you seen more success like percentile? Because this is what I feel. I feel like a lot of people around me predominantly are on this side. They just, let's dive into it, let's go, and we'll figure it out as we go. And it's like, it's messy at the beginning, it's chaotic, it's this, it's that. But then I also know that this group frustrates the shit out of the logical ones that want to plan stuff. It just annoys me. And you
Yeah.
could see in the mastermind group, they're like grinding their teeth. They're like,
Yeah.
no, where is the agenda? Where is this? When we're going to
Yeah.
do that? So which one have you seen
Yeah.
get better
I work with,
percentile of
yeah.
result?
Look, I work with teams on exactly this. So I go into teams and help them navigate this, because if you break it down over society, it's actually about, it's a bit more focused on judges. It's about 55% are more judges, making sure that they're more planned in nature. And about 45% of people are more, go with the flow. But the key point is we need everybody playing to their strengths on the team, working to the result that we're after, rather than thinking we're right and judging them for the different things, because it depends on your definition of success and how limited that is in this kind of way of looking, or if it's looking at the bigger picture. And it's looking at, I look at success in a team environment like that, and I go, what's the ultimate outcome that we are all as a collective working toward? And then I want to handball, I want to make sure everybody understands, hey, these are your greatest strengths. We need you operating this way. This person, Gary over here, has got these particular strengths over here. And we need to have this appreciation and this respect of how we actually take different angles. Because if we were all the same on the team, we'd have some massive blind spots. And this is where it becomes counterproductive, when we don't understand and we don't appreciate the differences and we don't know how they all integrate in order to get the ultimate outcome. And that's why when people hire people, oftentimes people hire people because they're like them, right? And they think, oh, I like this person because they're like me, right? But what actually happens is those people who, like you said, kind of they get a bit pissed off, like, because you need that person on your team. But you just need to know what their strengths are and allow them to be nurtured and help them develop into those strengths so that it's going to support the ultimate outcome.
Do you, before you work with individuals, you put them through the DISC process already to figure out, or no?
No, I don't do that. I actually profile them. So either myself or somebody on my team will actually work who are profilers, personality profilers. We do that through.
So what metric do you use for that?
What was that?
Is it a proprietary metric? How do you?
So it's originally based back on the Myers-Briggs type indicator, but that's very surface level. So remember I mentioned Dario Nardi, the neuroscientist who's actually wired people up to these EEG machines and looked at the cognitive functions, because the 4-letter code, like just telling somebody they're an extrovert, like that can be helpful, but like that's not where the juice is. That's pointing. It's like a decoder to actually how your brain is wired, and it goes quite deep. But basically that's where all the value is from that system, and it gets thrown out a lot, but it's because it just we leave it up there in that 4-letter code.
I mean, I just wanted to find out, because some people do this, some people do that, and then some people have the colors, so you have all these different things. So it's a bit confusing. It's a bit confusing. And here's the crazy part, Vanessa. I could actually manipulate the results, because I know the questions now. Because after probably the first time that you take it in your life, that will be the most accurate, because now that you know the questions and the type of questions, you could answer it differently. So I could take the test in 2 different weeks and come out 2 different people. So
totally, like even the best tests online have at least a 25% error margin. I've never tested out the type that I am. It took, like, on an online test, I actually had to do the work and have a profiler actually work with me on that to be able to discover my type. And with the work that I do, it's not just about putting you in this box and going, okay, here's who you are. It's your unique growth pathway. Instead of this one size fits all, where are you? How are we going to best develop you? How are we going to get you listening to the wife more? Right? Like
that's what I was about to say. You're not unique unless your wife says you're unique. So be very careful. Don't get people in trouble. Listen, if you're listening to this and you're married, whatever your wife says, that's the type you are. Okay. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? You're gonna get us in trouble. You're gonna get us in. So here's my question, which is off topic because we were going to talk about entrepreneurs. So do you attract the opposite sex because you like them, or is it because they complement your strengths or they complement your weaknesses? So now
Awesome.
that would be a different
Yeah.
topic for different
Oh,
video. I could
okay. I love it. Yeah.
I mean, in Think
Yep.
and Grow Rich, I know
Yep.
that Napoleon Hill talked about it many, many years ago. One of the major causes of failure is wrong choice of mate. Now,
Totally.
that could be husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, it could be whatever, it doesn't matter, right?
Yep.
We're not talking about male and female, it could be whatever, right? But the person that you go in the bed with,
Yep.
that person dictates a lot what happens in your business. Unfortunately, a lot of businessmen may not know that.
Yep. Totally. And you're going down another rabbit hole, because this is I actually started as a relationship coach and focused on, what it is about attraction and that selection of the right people in your life. And so awesome questions that you keep coming up with here. And basically, if we look at attraction, it's about the differences, because your friends, if you just have a lot of similarities, it makes for a great friendship. If you want attraction, it's all about the differences, and the bigger the difference, the more the attraction. But then what happens is people get attracted to one another, and then all those differences piss us off, and we just want to convert them and change them.
I could write a book about that. I could write a book. No, I mean, the reason why I tell you that is because I went to public school, and I went to a high school that, most schools in the US, they have a police officer on staff that's there. We had two of those in our school. So in our school, I literally saw one or two people in handcuffs every single day, right? But we had a magnet program. We had a lot of geniuses. I was part of the nerd program. I was part of that group, right? But I also saw all of these other things, and I'm all like, whoa, this is cool, because I get to experience that, but I get to hang out with these guys. But I kind of want to, so sometimes I was a hybrid where I could say, hey, what's up with these guys? Just talk a little bit. But some of these guys never. Like, they'll put their head down, just do their own thing. But my wife, on the other hand, all girls Catholic school, private school all her life, everything. Like, I went to public school, didn't cost any. So two complete opposite. I think I turned out okay, but well, that's very subjective. I think in my opinion, I turned out okay, but just seeing the differences, I think the relationships that she built with her all girls Catholic school friends, it's a big differentiation between us. I had normal friends. Nobody was going to take any bullets for me. I wasn't going to take any bullets. But her is different. Like, I went through an interview process before I could date her longer than what I did initially. All her girlfriends will like tackle me. They're like, what's your intention with her? What are you doing? Like literally interrogation. Like a dinner, but it was like 20-minute dinner, but it was an hour to answer their questions and their concerns. And I'm like, they're not even your family. Shouldn't that be like your mom and dad concerns, your sister concerns? Like, why am I answering strangers, right? But that's where it comes in, because we do have the opposite. Like, I'm totally anti-traditional education. She's totally pro that, She will not take a risk in her life if her life was dependent on it. I'm like, let's go take a risk. Let's lose it all. Let's file for a couple of bankruptcies. Let's just see what happens, right? So it's complete opposite. Now, question is, the only way we'll know if she made the right choice or I made the right choice is we fast forward 50 years in time and find out what happened. Or should I have gone and married somebody that was more crazy like me? Or maybe she should have married somebody who was normal,
Well, yeah, I don't know how seriously to take you on this question, but it's a great story.
Don't answer that question. Don't answer that question.
Oh,
She
well,
made the
you
best
know.
decision in her life. That was it. That's it.
That's it. That's it. And you
That's
know
it.
what? It's not about, as we know, it's not about the destination. It's not about the 50 years. It's about now. It's about how you're growing as an individual. It's about how you're enhancing each other's lives. And how can you really enhance each other's lives if you're not bringing anything different to the table? That's where respect is born. Respect is when somebody brings something different or better to the table than you. You know, we need that, because if there's two of you the same, one of you isn't necessary, right? So this is a big part of the work that I love, like how I started with relationships and now I work with teams. It's about appreciating the differences. And that's that, you know, you can look at the team of intimate relationship, you can look at the bigger team that you're working with as an entrepreneur, all of it. So I love your
I
your
agree.
shares here. Yeah.
I agree with that. So here's my other question.
Yeah.
At what point do individuals that are in business and entrepreneurs realize or should realize that they need a coach, that they need a mentor?
Oh, I think I feel like always, like, why can't we always be learning from other people?
But
You
that's
know,
not true,
whether,
Vanessa, because not everybody has a coach.
yeah, but why do you have to, like, you don't necessarily need to pay for a coach. You can read a book and that can be your mentor. You know, you can be, if you're learning something from somebody outside of you, that's something, that's a mentor, that's a coach. You don't have to actively necessarily pay someone. I recommend you do, you know, and I recommend you find the people who've got results that you're after, you know, and you go and learn from them, and you know, you work with them, or you know, whatever you have to do there. But you know, it's I've found that I've tested out a bunch of coaches. I've always got lots of coaches in my life, and the reason why I do that is because it's been a valuable tool for me to go and get feedback, like honest, brutal feedback, so that you can, you know, fast track your success. As an entrepreneur, you want to know the truth sooner rather than later. So find sources and people that you can trust and respect, and they've got results, so you can take on board, you know, their critiques in a way that's going to help you not go all fluffy in life. That's been a, you know, a challenge of mine, because I can be so idealistic. You know, I've had to enlist people who are absolute no BS kind of people, so that I can make sure, because I'm so committed to my vision and what I want to
What
do
type
in
of
this
a coach
world.
are you, Vanessa? You
So
fluff it up or you tell them brutal? I mean, Australians, you guys are a
yeah.
little bit crazy, but
Look, by nature, I am not a brutal attack person. The closer you are to me, the more you're going to like hear the truth. And in my family, we just tell it like it is. We have it out if there's a problem. But basically, because of where I've come from, I like to help to nurture the greatness in other people. And what I mean by that is help them identify who they are authentically, and help, you know, kind of shine light on those strengths to get them to a point where here's the light for you. Now here's, you know, the next stage of the journey. And that's going to come with more and more of those truths. But a brilliant man, John Gottman, an amazing relationship expert with his wife for, you know, many years. He says that for every one negative that you have to present to somebody, if you really want them to get the value from it, you have to deliver first 5 positives. So give them 5 good things, and then they'll be able to hear your
that's why I
one
don't know
negative
about.
thing.
That's why I don't know about his work, because that's a lot of work.
It
So,
is a lot of work, but it's dependent
so
on,
if you
like,
have two
what's the
negatives, that's
outcome.
10
Yeah.
positives.
What's that?
If 2 negatives, that's 10 positives.
Yes, that's right. And so if you think about human nature, and you know, if you really care about somebody, if you really want them to get a result, you want to drop their guard. You want to drop their defenses. You want them to take it on board from this place of, like, this person's got my back. They've got my best interests at heart. So basically that is how I work. I build people up so they can hear the truth that they need to hear in order to fast track their success.
Listen, Vanessa, I'm going to agree on that, but I also, my other side wants to disagree with you,
Yeah.
because if I care for you, I
Mm-hmm.
should be able to tell you, hey, Vanessa, I'm going to be honest with you. Instead of me wasting my time and give you 5 positives for you to trust me, this, here's the challenge. I could waste my time in that, or here is the challenge that we have. Why don't we work on this and fix it? So to me, it's like what you're saying completely makes sense. But I think at some point in that relationship, whether it's a mentor and a mentee, or whether it's a teacher or student, whatever the case, there is that point where the fluff needs to go, and that's just bunch of bullshit. Because if Vanessa comes to me and Vanessa says, Vahid, these are the shit that you're doing wrong. Get your shit together, do them. I'm like, thank you, Vanessa. Like, I'm not gonna, I have enough respect for you not to take it in the right way. And also, it might hurt my ego, it might hurt my confidence, I don't know. It might, but then I already know that we didn't go waste an hour for you to build me up to take that.
I get what you mean, but it's kind of like this. So it depends who you're talking to. Like, because some people just want the absolute truth, just straight up. Don't bullshit me with those positives, because I'm not even going to hear you now, because I don't trust you because you gave me all that fluff, right? So it depends who you're talking to. It also depends on the quality of relationship and trust and respect. And people can hear the truth when they know you've got their best interests at heart. And, so basically that's how I'd kind of look at it. Who am I dealing with? What's the relationship here? And some people need those positives. So I look at it as, it's not a waste of my time. It's like, if I've got to chop down this tree, I'm going to sharpen my axe for the first 5 days and then cut it on the 6th, right? That might be the sharpening of the axe is the positive, so that you can actually cut through and really have a result. But that's not for everybody. Again, this whole conversation is really, it's not one size fits all. It's like, who are you dealing with, and being able to know that. So, and know yourself well enough. Like I've educated different people in my life. If you're in relationship with people, you need to know who you are and what your needs are, so you can communicate with them and educate them on how to treat you, so that the relationship has its best possibility of success. And some people need to know, hey, I need a few positives before I hear that criticism, right? Because otherwise I can't hear it. And other people need to educate the people and go, hey, don't give me all the fluff, just cut through it and just tell me straight up, so yeah, it's an interesting conversation.
I mean, I see, it's valid points. I get that. And it's so sad that sometimes, I don't know. Would it actually help this planet more if we take off the fluff and just get to the point? Because we want to leave this planet. We have a limited, do you see what I'm saying? Like, you got 50, 60 good years. Yeah. So do you want to spend 20 years of that and just fluff and everything else?
Well, it depends what fluff is. Yeah, it depends what fluff is. If you're talking about fluff as in like just bullshitting, yeah, like we don't need any of that. We just want the truth. But if you're talking about fluff in terms of the niceties, or like, building people up, like we actually need that. Like there's an avenue and there's different times and places that we need that. We need to come with heart. So it's just, I'm all for no lies, no BS, all truth. But sometimes it just needs to be done from the heart, and sometimes it just needs some power behind it. Probably some more masculine energy, that fatherly love coming into it as well. Yeah.
So if I'm going to say something negative to my wife, I better buy 5 flowers, 5 separate days, prepare for it for a whole week and do that. Vanessa, that's not a good coaching relationship coaching. You're costing me a lot of money.
Well, test it out. Test it out. I reckon your wife, it might be a good benefit to you.
It's so funny because at the beginning of our relationships, I used to send a lot of flowers to her law firm. She's an attorney. And then when we got married and everything else, she was complaining last week. She's like, you lied to me, this. I'm like, what? She's like, well, you don't send flowers. I'm like, you have the whole entire backyard is all your flowers.
Oh,
why do I need to I'm like, why do I need to go buy some refrigerated secondhand flowers that somebody picked, I don't know who it was, and then go pay for it where they're going to die in 5 days?
Have you heard the Tony Robbins quote on relationship, which is, do what you did in the beginning and there won't be an end? And, you're talking about...
Okay, well, Tony's talking out his ass. It's going to cost too much.
No. I'm speaking for your wife here. Buy those flowers. And you don't, it doesn't matter if you buy 5 or you buy 1. It's, you get the same amount of points, right? So just it's the thought.
Why is it that they need to remind their cousin? So that's, anyway, that's a different topic. That's a different topic. What? Listen, if you tell me you love me one time, unless you come back and you say, I don't love you and I'm taking it back, till end of the eternity, that stands. But that is not the case.
Masculine brain. Feminine
that doesn't
brain,
work with females.
reassurance all the time, validation all the time. Just keep it coming. Keep it coming.
It's
Those
5 times a day. It's not all the time. It's 5 times a day. And you shouldn't be sticking off for females like that.
I am. Particularly your wife. Your wife and I are going to be best friends after this conversation.
No, she's amazing. But I do see that. I do see their valid points. And
Yep.
I think those reminders of you doing it, I think is like a reset clock where we get a fresh, brand new day. I think that's the biological reset, maybe the mental reset. You just reset. You're like, okay, it's a brand new. So I could totally see that. So here's my question: how do people find you?
Yeah, awesome. So I mainly do everything that I've built for my business on Facebook. So I just showed up and did a Facebook Live every single day. About 3 years ago, I started that. And I've just organically grown. So I'm on there every day, delivering anything I can of value from my own personal experience and experience with clients. And so that's probably the best way, or they can jump on my website, vanessajanepatrick.com. But it's been such a pleasure to get to meet you and connect with you and have a bit of banter and a bit of fun, starting my day off right. So it's good.
Definitely. I appreciate you taking this early morning, being with us. Hopefully we could do some more videos. I have a lot of friends in Australia.
Cool.
A lot of good friends in Australia.
Have you been here?
Very intellectual conversations. I don't know what it is about Australians, or it might just be me. I'm attracting them. But all of my coaches in Australia, they're like very sophisticated. Very like I gotta have my shit together when I call them, because then I need all the mental power that I can put into the conversation. Yeah, there's no fluffing with Australia. But I do want to visit, because I know you guys got a lot of coral reefs. I love corals. So I definitely want to visit and check out the beaches and the oceans and all that stuff. The marine life in Australia is very rich. So
we're very lucky.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Definitely stay safe, and looking forward to having more conversations with you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. And thanks to everybody listening. Been a pleasure.
Yeah. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.